premonitions, foreshadowings of some terrible disaster, oppress my heart. Chapter 1. August 15th, 1813, Peach Orchard Camp, Fort Norfolk, Virginia. Lieutenant John Jack Mason McCarty woke with a pounding in his head and a stinging on his neck. Swatting at the biting black fly, he shifted on the cot to find a more comfortable position in the sweltering heat. The movement caused the throbbing in his head to worsen. He rolled onto his back and gulped at the hot, muggy air. The hammering in his head pounded even louder. Bringing a hand to his forehead, Jack grasped his temples. Amid the pulsing pain, a voice boomed somewhere above him. He opened an eye. Blinding rays of filtered light cut through the storm thundering inside his skull. He squinted. A shadowy figure stood over him. "Get up, Jack!" The shrillness of the voice compounded the intensity of the throbbing. Jack moaned unintelligibly and squeezed his eyes shut. "Christ almighty, Jack, you need to get up!" Jack rolled away toward the tent wall. "Go away." "Come on, Jack. Colonel Mason called the officers, and you already missed this morning's roll. Now get up." Lieutenant James Delaney kicked the leg of the cot where Jack lay. The thud of James's boot on the cot's wood reverberated through Jack's body like a mallet on a drum. "Stop that." "I'll stop when you get up." James kicked the cot harder. Jack rolled towards James, his head on fire and his temper beginning to flare. "For Christ's sake, you are worse than my mother." James laughed. "Your mother would have thrown a basin of water on you by now." Jack grunted. "Come on, Jack. Up, or I'll be forced to turn you out of that cot." Jack groaned. With a defeated huff, he sat up and steadied himself on the cot's edge. The pulsing in his head made him woozy. "God, you look awful. And a good morning to you too, Sally." Jack spit a putrid taste from his mouth onto the floor. James shook his head. "In the lowers again?" Jack nodded as he rubbed the back of his neck. "You know how Colonel Mason feels about his officers gambling with enlisted men." Jack scoffed and spit on the floor again. Colonel Mason. Lifting his head, he glared with bloodshot eyes at his friend. Growing up on neighboring plantations in the northern neck, the two had known each other since they were children. Both were members of Virginia's landed gentry, with James's home located along the Potomac River adjacent to General Washington's Mount Vernon, and Jack's family seat situated across the Pohick Bay from his grandfather's plantation of Gunston Hall. Having just reached their 18th years and following in the footsteps of their fathers, who had fought in the Revolution, both were serving as staff officers in this latest war against the British. Like Jack, James was tall, standing just over 6 feet, with broad shoulders that narrowed to a trim waist. His hazel eyes were shaped like almonds and set wide on either side of a long aquiline nose. Normally, James's sable-brown hair was brushed neatly from his face, but this morning his locks were as black as Jack's, and glued to his forehead in a sweaty paste. Dressed in full uniform, James was glistening with perspiration. Jack nodded in the direction of James's jacket. "It must be 100 degrees. Why are you in that?" "As I said, Colonel Mason's called for us." "Why?" James exhaled an exasperated sigh. "That's what colonels do, Jack. Call their officers, issue orders." Jack threw James a look. "But it's Sunday. Even God gave it a rest on Sunday." "Tell that to the British." A sudden seriousness darkened Jack's face. "Are they coming up the river again?" "Not today, at least not yet." James glanced at the floor before bringing his eyes back to Jack's. "Captain Alexander's patrol captured McNally this morning." "Shane?" James nodded. "Jesus." Shane McNally had grown up on the McCarty family estate.